want your love. I just want your love.
What is the deal, beautiful people? It's your boy Ramon, Lifestyles Defined. Microsoft Horror season is here. Let's talk about the Surface Pro 4 and the newly announced Surface Book. God damn it with that name. Did you have to call it a book? Are there not enough words in the dictionary where we need to call it something that Apple's using? Okay, classic Microsoft. But anyway, the entire event, like I said earlier in the phone video, and watch out for the phone video. You're gonna get that first, you're gonna get this second, and then you're gonna get the whole wrap-up video of what I thought about the presentation. In the Windows Phone video, I shouted out how well the entire presentation was ran, and I really mean that. It was amazing, and they did a really good job. They also did a good job at reiterating why the Surface Pro is actually in its 4th generation now, and you're showing their prowess and how many people use it. And there's even some random specs in there about how 50% of people that use the Surface actually use the pen. And you know, that's interesting because according to Panos, they contemplating shipping it without a pen, and it looks like it was a good idea. I mean, it seems like people have taken to the purpose of this Surface. So what did they do here? I mean, they pretty much announced it's thinner, lighter, faster, and they stack it up against something like the MacBook, and wild numbers, it's twice as fast. I think that's dope. And then there's interchangeable tips on the pen now. Of course, they improved the pen. They improved the keyboard. The keyboards on the Surface Pro is the 4 will no longer be you know, as clumped up as it is. It's now a chiclet style or island style, whatever people like to call that thing. They made the trackpad a little bigger. You know, they did work. It did work. I think above all is it's a very well thought out improvement or iteration of the series. And there are some numbers in there that I really like that they did. And he said, you know what, you guys requested 16 gigs of RAM. Previously you could only get 8. You can now configure it with 16. He said, you know, you guys requested a terabyte SSD. You can now request that. And there's some very impressive tech on, you know, the internals and how it's now a hybrid cooling mechanism between liquid cooled and a fan in there somewhere. And there's a lot of dope design choices and engineering that I thought was definitely worthy of mention, and it lets me know how serious Microsoft has become as a hardware manufacturer. And then, you know, toward the end, he did this thing where you felt the end of the presentation coming, and it was like that one more thing moment, and boom, there it was, the ultimate laptop. And of course I'm talking about the Surface Book. This thing is no joke. I mean, you know, I was talking to Nigel earlier. Nigel was pretty much asking, well, what's the point of a Surface Book if there's a Surface? And I think at the surface level, pardon the pun, that's a very interesting observation. It can be hard to really recognize the difference between the two. And if you haven't seen the Surface Book as yet, it's this laptop with a very unique hinge, but it definitely does have all the characteristics of the Surface for sure. The same specs. I think it's got a stronger GPU for sure. It's got was it an NVIDIA, a GeForce GPU? I didn't really say what it is. And it's got the DDR5 RAM. It's running that Skylake processor. So is the Surface Pro 4 as well. But the point here is because it's a laptop and you've got a little more room to work with, you can get a little more beefier spec of a device. So the keyboard, of course, is full-fledged. It still does support the pen, and I think the amazing part was they were referring to it as a clipboard because you had the ability to remove the display and actually use it as just a regular Surface with a caveat. And you can actually turn the display around and have it sit on the desk and have it sort of tilted up a little, but not quite as much as a Surface Pro 4. The caveat I mentioned was the GPU and all the internals for the USB slots, so on and so forth, are still on the keyboard part of it. So literally you would be taking off, you would be splitting the computer's power in half to pass around the screen. So I wouldn't expect you to be able to still, you know, do things like render video and all of that, so on and so forth, heavy intensive tasks with the screen detached. But I think it's still super dope that there's always those moments, we all had them, where that's fun, that's part of his pitch, where you want to show somebody something real quick, like you just wish you could just take the screen off, you know what I mean? I think that's dope. And to Nigel's point, it gets a little murky when you factor in this is pretty much what the Surface 4 is. But for me, the way I differentiate the two is the Surface Pro 4 is a tablet first with very intelligent and a lot of tricks into the laptop world. And this, the Surface Book, is a hell of a laptop, but with the ability to remove the screen. And you know, it's got a lot beefier spec. I think it's a very dope device. I think it definitely holds its own. As according to Microsoft, it's twice as fast as the MacBook Pro. So we kind of see where those two are competing, which is interesting because, you know, Apple just announced the iPad Pro, and that couldn't even measure up to the Surface 3. So here's two other productivity devices that are just running away with the cake, and kudos to Microsoft for that. You know, I think it's an interesting move to see Microsoft really in their stride, their swag, in terms of hardware manufacturing. You look at either one of these devices, and I'm never recommending a Dell ever again. I'm never recommending an HP. Not recommending Lenovo. Like, nah, you guys had your chance, man. I think the only one that ever came close to creating super sexy hardware on a consistent level was Sony, and they gave that up. Haven't seen anything from them in a long time. I mean, you don't get me wrong, the new XPS devices are nice, but you know, generally speaking, when you walk in Best Buy and somebody says, "Oh, I'm looking for something in the $800 range," everything's hideous, everything's ugly. So I really like how Microsoft is just taking control of their own destiny and pretty much just handling their business and doing it themselves. I really like that approach. And it's crazy because they worked very hard to get to this point, and now they're finally at this point, and the hardware is beautiful. And I think when you talk about Microsoft now, it's no longer like, wait, but I'm not buying a Microsoft A, B, C, or D. I'm buying this Dell, this Lenovo, blah, blah, blah. Now it's sort of like, now just, you don't want that. Just go and get the Microsoft this, the Microsoft that. Good job on these two devices. You know, will I be purchasing one? Not so much. I don't think a laptop is really part of my workflow right now. You know, if I'm anywhere that I need to use a laptop, it's usually because I should be relaxing. But for those of you on the market for a laptop, especially something where you can turn it in to a screen for just that split second, you can show somebody a quick video or picture or whatever it is. Wow, Microsoft, good job. Good job. It's your boy Ramon. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more coming. I'm out of here. Peace.